Know that at some point, when the Chicago chimneys are dormant like uninteractive headstones interrupting the skyline, I know I will board planes and go to say my last respects to those I respect the most and least. I have been in love, but that is completely irrelevant. And I thank you for the things that you left me. Enough misery to write a book of poems. Enough money to do nothing. Enough drive to prove you wrong. From my experience, sometimes gaining the most amount of faith is when someone has no faith in you whatsoever, and you have to prove them wrong in the process to gain your own back. But this isn't a personal ad, so enough about me. Though I do like long walks on the beach and candlelit dinners. Right now, please welcome up a good friend of mine, Mr. Rob Handler. Just as a warning, I have several more pieces I'm planning tonight.
Okay, sorry I had to suddenly run out. I have faith, but not in the parking meters here, so I have to take care of that. I apologize for missing most of your poem, but I did hear the end of it. I just want to let you know. I liked what I heard. Anyway. I have two pieces tonight, one of which is not mine, but it's a piece that's very close to my heart, by John Donne, who's a romantic poet, a priest who wrote fantastic poems about faith and fantastic seduction poems, if you're ever in. Yes?
Please keep in mind, you are not limited to one piece. You can take anywhere up to like 7 minutes or so. If you go to 8.5, I'm not going to hurt you. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Well, maybe afterwards, but not during the show. So have a little liberty with what you're doing.
So yeah.
All right, my friend, back to you.
So yes, first piece by John Donne, second piece by me. I'm just going to go straight into it. You'll probably figure out where it transitions because it's going to get a lot less eloquent. Batter my heart, three-person God, for you as yet but knock, breathe, shine, and seek to mend. That I may rise and stand, overthrow me and bend your force to break, blow, burn, and make me new. I, like an usurped town to another due, labor to admit you, but oh, to no end. Reason, your viceroy and me should defend, but is captive and proves weak or untrue. Yet, dearly I love you, and would be loved fain, but am betrothed unto your enemy. Divorce me, untie me, or break that knot again. Take me to you, imprison me, for I, except you enthrall me, never shall be free. Nor ever chaste, except you ravish me. I was a Sunday Mass every morning, lunch with the family after kind of Catholic. My mother teaches grammar to middle schoolers in the school run by her church, and she is the best candidate for sainthood I am likely to meet, putting up with their hormonal preteens with patience. I don't tell her about my work, because in my office there are hallways lined with filing cabinets, each drawer devoted to a specific Catholic diocese. Each file in that drawer labeled with the name of an abuse victim. You see my dilemma. The world I see daily would make more sense with an Old Testament deity, with fire and brimstone punishments, with pillars of salt for slight offenses, but then I'd have to assume that my friend's grabbed hair, the forum against her windpipe, was her own fault. I'd have to believe there was some reason for every name in those drawers. You see my dilemma. I believe in God. don't have much faith in him anymore. When the call came with my last grandparent on the way out, I still pressed my hands together and lowered my head to pray. A prayer that was a cross between arguing and begging, struggling against every contradiction this world makes me swallow. You see my dilemma. I can't believe in a great plan anymore, overseen by some benevolent administrator. Most days, all I can believe in is a jester laughing at a night sky as each star fades away. But I carry a St. Christopher medal in my pocket. And every time I stop to look over a cityscape or countryside stretching to a horizon, I try to reach out to something. Something that says, reaching is the only prayer you need. See my dilemma? I want so badly for something to reach back, to put some name on this feeling other than God, a name I wore out a long time ago. I'm no wise man, no theological scholar trying to pronounce some true name of God. I'm just a guy, sitting on a rock in Denver or standing in a skyscraper in Chicago, reaching for that sunrise, praying that will be enough. Thank you.
The ever impressive stylings of Mr. Rob Handler. Let's give him a round of applause, please. Let's see. I believe coming up next, if we want to go in actual numerical order here, would be Mr. M.C. Rydell.
Yeah!
Thank you, everyone. I have two short poems for you tonight. This first one I wrote for this occasion.
8 to 3.
That's all I only brought up two, so I'll make them longer.
Dramatic pauses helps.
Thank you. This first one is called Faith at 58. I listened for your voice in the static between the radio stations, underneath train station speakers, words uttered by a woman with whom it's considered wrong to be seen. You whisper in my ear all night, send your breath across my eyes, stroke my hair, fingers in the air. You're absolutely everywhere, even though you're not really there. Via negativa, you're a harlot, kneeling in the cathedral before taking off your wedding ring, adjusting skirt and blouse, and disappearing into utter oblivion. You don't even realize you're gone. Beyond ordinary perception, you're a temptress legs and thighs as you press me against your silk nightgown with just the idea of seduction without words. My first wife can never do that. Her blue cloak and white veil, an icon for the villagers, her cold eyes and disappointment, still unforgiving after all these years. Faith at 58 exists in the space between my body and the mirror, where the molecules of light vibrate the way a breeze feels when making waves on a lake. It's the sound of freight trains and stalled traffics to a pilgrim without map, compass, or GPS. It's intangible in paint, photo, or poem, a prophet without a message. Still, I long for your still small voice, the scent of your perfume, the tussled covers and sheets where you slept, the bird songs I cannot recognize, the breeze you've become every dark evening. silence comes back. This next one is about asadia, which is a monastic despair, which is pretty much what happens when you're 58 years old. So this is called Stranded in Asadia. It's a landscape of abandoned autos, stalled boxcars, biplane chassis, an inactive volcano, and marijuana fields swaying in a Caribbean breeze right down to the beach, the surf, and a tide always prone to undertow. How I got here, I'll never know. I'm part of a silent wind which begins to whine like an oboe, then a clarinet. A single note rising and falling into the oblivion caught distinctly between two worlds, sunlight in the one above, moonlight in the one below. Yet my island home, Asadia, stops me before I can go. Shipwrecked, out of gas, snapped fan belt, a dead cell phone, a broken guitar string. We'd have a ferryman strike before we pay with pennies. Instead, I'm a weak old beard memorizing a dialogue, but always alone. My long-haired love of wild eyes and starlight forms a face out of the constellations just for me. Pale, loitering, she recites her lines by rote. Her schemes and tropes call for me to abandon the campfire, wade knee-deep, and attempt a miraculous escape into fog, shroud, night, and sea foam. She calls out into the sky, a shrieky siren, tempting me to swim into the Black Sea, act, react, dash into bony, bloody rocks until I expose all that I have inside to her. But I can't. I throw some hemp on the fire instead and enter dreams I've always known. I'm stranded on the island of Asadia. My bottles and their notes roll on the beach. Broken seashells, stretched starfish, driftwoods like crucifixes, monastic despair. I haven't a care in this heavy, heavy world. I grow wings and fly above and below. Look for me to land where you call home. I will bring you everything you need to live alone. I will light a lantern in your breast that forever glow.
Mr. MC Rydell. Let's mix it up a little bit. I'm giving faith in you in this one. That's what this show is all about. I think you're going to mix it up a little bit. So I want to invite my good friend Chuck West up here to do something a little bit, I'm assuming, with his past performances, a little something out of the ordinary. Yeah. Am I right?
Yes.
Good on this one, right?
Yes.
You're not going to let me down.
Get on the stage.
With his pocket watches and pleasant demeanor. There's a sin right there, jealousy. Alright, well, for those of the poets who know me, you guys know me as a freestyle rapper and a guy who writes written rhymes too. But tonight this is going to be one of the very rare occasions where you actually see me perform a regular poem. It's not going to rhyme, it's more of a confession in the form of a rant. I'm trying to make it as interesting as possible. So here we go. I'm going to start with a quote from the Bible, actually. So Leviticus chapter 19, verse 18 says, "Do not seek revenge or bear a grudge against your neighbor, but love your neighbor as yourself, for I am the Lord." Now the freestyling comes in. This is a rule that I have broken many times, far too many times, not from a physical standpoint or even from necessarily a verbal standpoint, but in my head. A lot of people have seen the wrath of my vengeance. I don't know if anyone else has ever felt that way. Someone who really bothered you, so in your head, you're punching them in the face or you're doing something, but you don't say it or express it. Here's the thing. When I was a little kid back in elementary school, I was the kid that everybody made fun of, and I never really learned how to tease people back, so the teasing just came at me a lot. And there was always this one kid, the most popular kid in the class, as a matter of fact, who would always come at me like, your glasses are stupid, your eyebrows are too bushy, or whatever.
Gee, what's that like?
Would you stop it? Okay, just remember. Anyway, this kid would always tease me, and he was one of the tough kids, so you couldn't fight him over it. And you couldn't tease him back, especially not me, because like I said, I was never good at that. So this anger just built up in my head for years and years. Now, I never ever sought vengeance or took vengeance against him or anything like that. But it was getting to the point where emotionally, I was getting wrapped up in just playing these insults over and over in my head again and again. But it was also messing with me physically. Like, I would start to get these really bad stress headaches. I would just dwell on it so much, and I would always think to myself, I hope he pays for this one day. I really hope something happens to him, because he has no right to make me go through all this emotional pain and physical stress. About a couple of years ago, I was enjoying a Christmas Eve dinner with a good friend of mine, and somehow this kid who bullied me way back in elementary school, he came to the conversation. For the purpose of not exploiting him, I'll just say his name is FK. Alright, so me and my friend are talking, and FK was a really good basketball player back in elementary school. He was the only kid in our class tall enough to actually dunk the ball. And all the high schools were trying to get him to come to their school so he could make their team really great. He was an amazing basketball player. And one night, as me and my friend are talking, FK comes to the conversation, and my friend goes, it's interesting. I was really thinking that I was going to see FK on TV today, because looking at all these college basketball teams, and I'm not seeing him. And then my friend's mother comes in and says, yeah, you didn't hear about that? And we were both like, no. He said, oh, well, yeah, FK can't play basketball anymore. I said, why is that? He said, well, he has a heart condition now, and even though he's still a really good ball player despite his condition, all the colleges are a little too scared to take him on because they consider him a health risk. So now he can't achieve his dream. Now, to take things to an even higher level, FK had a younger brother who, if you watch college ball, you may have seen him on TV. He plays for, I believe he plays for Oregon State. But anyway, this little brother's 4 years younger than FK, and now he's 6 inches taller than FK, and he is considered one of the best players for Oregon State now. Everyone on TV is always talking about him, and announcers are always complimenting him, like, wow, he made a good dunk, he did a good this, did a good that. So it's interesting. This one kid is, you talk about revenge, this one kid who teased me for the first half of my life is now stuck with a heart condition and can't achieve his basketball dreams. Now, this reminds me of an episode of South Park. Have you ever seen an episode where Cartman gets AIDS? Anyone seen that? And Kyle hears about it and he goes, oh my God, Cartman has HIV? Excuse me, I need to be alone. And he goes outside and you think he's gonna cry, but instead he starts laughing. Hysterically. And then a couple scenes later, Kyle starts laughing at Cartman again. And then Kyle laughs so hard, he's like, excuse me, I gotta go home. He just runs away and starts laughing. And Cartman says, now we're in a church, I'm gonna say this in a G-rated fashion. I'm not gonna quote Cartman directly, but he says, can you believe that da-da-da-da. He has no compassion. And Stan goes, Cartman, Kyle does feel bad for you. He just thinks it's ironic. Ironic how? Well, Cartman, you're always such a jerk and stuff. What? So you think I deserve it? Is that what you think, Stan? No, not me. But Kyle thinks so. I'm not gonna say, I'm not that low and evil to say that I was rejoicing at FK's problem, but I knew that I wasn't sad, but I also knew that kind of made me, it meant that there was still a demon inside me that I had to get out. It's funny, my good friend Francisco and I were reading the book of Mark, and he was talking about how Jesus comes across this guy named Legion who was just full of all these demons, and Jesus is able to take all these demons out of him and cast them into pigs. I think I'm gonna have to go find a pig, because there is a part of me that wants to be happy about this guy's heart disease, but I know that I shouldn't be, because in Leviticus it says that vengeance is that of God and not of mine. God did this to FK, not me. But the worst part about it is that there's a small part of me that thinks the reason God did this to him was for me. You know? This guy now has heart disease. Merry Christmas, Charles West. This guy can't play basketball. Happy birthday, Charles West. This guy's little brother is achieving all his dreams for him, and he has to sit back and watch. Happy Tuesday, Charles West. It's a strange feeling that I feel. I can tell that this demon of vengeance still lives inside me to a degree, and I just, you know, like I said, I want to find a pig or something that I can just put this demon into and get rid of for the rest of my life. This evil in me that I don't want, but for some reason I'm so enticed by, because it seems like FK is getting what he deserves. But who am I to say that? Maybe he got it for a different reason. And who's to say that I'm not gonna come down with some strange, or well, I'm not gonna catch some crazy disease, but I mean, who's to say? You know, I do my best to believe in God and believe that whatever happens is because He wanted it to happen. Now, if He wants me to get sick, I'll get sick too. I'm praying that He doesn't. But for the time being, all I need is a pig. And for the past 2.5 years, that pig has been a microphone. Going to poetry slams, hip-hop joints, putting my demons into this pig, and then passing it to the next artist. Now, hopefully this pig will not regurgitate into the next person that steps up here, but I certainly hope that through this, I can sort of get rid of this vengeful idea, this vengeance that does not belong to me, that never belonged to me, but instead belonged to God. For whatever reason, FK is sick, God chose it. Was it out of vengeance? Perhaps not. I'm not sure. All I know is, by the time I'm done, this pig will be full.
I kept waiting for you to start a poem, not realizing that was the poem. Let's keep in mind that pig was kind of metaphorical in that there weren't really that many pigs, as Jews wouldn't eat that many pigs, as Jews don't eat pork at all. And it was only the Roman soldiers, and there was way more pigs than to accommodate them. Okay, that's not what this is about. Anyway, let's see. All right, so let's give a round of applause for the speakers of Mr. Charles West. get factual. How far you want to get into this? Just let me know. We can take it outside if you want. Anyway, let's see. That was Mr. Chuck West. Right now, you know what? Let's bring up Mr. Marty Schoenberg? Schoenweber. This is a guy, I've seen some of his work online. I'm very excited about seeing him here live. I'm very happy to have him here tonight. So let's give him a big round of applause.
It's kind of funny about names, right? My first two names both mean warlike, and my last name means one who lives beautifully, and I'm not sure what's weighted heavier. I'll take that too. Everybody's been really, really great too, by the way. For the longest time, I thought the clouds would just roll on by. But it rained. And it rained, and it rained, and it rained. And when the waters rose, I couldn't bear the pain, so I took the olive branch offered to me like the hope that it was. I finally learned to ignore the swelling sea. If you could believe it, I was exact when I put my pen to paper. I signed a suicide pact with the creator of the universe. And I couldn't have done worse holding up my end of the deal. All I had to do was die to myself, and I could be free and be healed. Well, I've drank an awful lot of poison, but killing selfishness is harder than it seems. Much, much harder than it seems, because I'm still just like me. And I feel more like a demon than I ever wanted to be. And I don't know why that is, or why it is that whenever I want to be close to you, I have to try so hard. We never just hang out anymore, God, and so we've grown apart like one-sided lovers tend to do. I still believe that if I give up, you'll fix me through and through, but I haven't seen the honest insides of my heart in a long, long time, and I'm terrified to look at what's happened there. Because I've been low for so long. I've been low for so long. I've been low for so long. I can't go any deeper. I've never been weaker. So if you could just capture my heart again, I promise I'll be a good hostage this time. I'll take that Stockholm Syndrome like a pill, or a blood oath, or a rope over the edge of a cliff, because I need constant saving. And I need grace enough to take my place so that when I don't have the strength to give my life away completely, you'll have the strength to pick me up and make it. But I'm so familiar with my vanity, wandering this hallway, turning the lights on, turning the lights off, so bored, so lonely, and yet never asking for your company. I'm so tired of all of my addictions and all of the traps I've tripped and fossilized evils I've rediscovered, hoping to satisfy my heart of unearthed nothing. I haven't found joy in any of the feelings, bloated out of proportion, or in the numbness that comes from denying my dark. So I end up open and closed, like a palm and a fist. Open enough to admit that I spend hours when I'm alone just staring at a whiskey bottle, asking myself, why not? But not open enough to admit why. Because I'm still holding on to secrets I've tried to convince myself are a lie. And yet you know everything that I keep hidden, that I keep caged as well as I can. And if you know my heart, the heart of any man, and you know I'm not much of one. Forgive me for every day I've got coming up. My faith is a thimble cup, and I will try to find something better than you every day, drinking it down like poison. But oh, what a wonder it is that your antidote, grace, is stronger than all of it, and stronger than me. And that without asking, you give out forgiveness, like each of my betrayals really was just a kiss. And what I've found is this. that even if I die myself, I will still need your help. I still need your help. And so I'm slowly learning how to ask you to fulfill both sides of our suicide pact. I just want to do one more.
You too.
So I wrote this for one of my favorite friends, and you can take it for what it is. And I'm sorry about my cotton mouth. I'm like a snake up here. It's also new, so I'm just gonna do this. You're just fine, and your song is a sweet, sweet melody, and I'm not. When I was born, God strung my chest with violin strings, stretched a drum skin from ear to ear across my neck, and he tied my arms and legs up in woodwinds and piano keys, so that when I walked, I sounded like a symphony of innocence. But I've long since smashed those instruments and filled my chest with brimstones like all hell is trying to get out. I'm just wondering, when does a museum of instruments stop being a memory of deception and start sounding like music again? Because the difference between a weed and a flower is perspective, right? Like sometimes a stiff drink and a cigarette are a flower, and sometimes a stiff drink and a cigarette are a weed, but most times I don't know the difference. And I'm wondering, if I open up my mouth with truth once, will the cobwebs stop forming over my tongue? And if I wasn't so angry, would I have anything left to say at all? If my heart rusted out like I said it does, is there any oil left to fix my ears? Because, oh, I'm a poet. And so I've cursed myself with this openness. Damn me, I can't keep putting this pen to paper in hopes that someone will find me. And yet I do. Publish my letters when I'm gone, but don't forget to put in the editorial that I was a very private person. I didn't want to be remembered for anything anybody didn't like, so I take back everything, even this. But everyone wants to be told they're okay. And they can do it, and I don't want to make any enemies, so you're okay. You're okay. You're okay just like you are. There's nothing to improve, and let that be your morphine so you can feel numb, so you can feel better. Does it sound true? When I say you've done nothing wrong. Because if you told me this thing, you'd be a liar. But this tired message was never about behavior modification. It's always been about anger, my anger. My mom and dad used to say I had to learn self-control or it would destroy me. Well, I stopped throwing chairs just this last summer, and I don't rip the pages out of my books anymore, but I still know what it feels like to boil. I've been at 211 degrees my whole life, right on the edge. And the coolness of Jesus seems to move at a glacial pace towards me. Where is it right now? I know I need more help than I can come up with on my own. I will gladly accept the crush. Others deny it, pride, but not you. You're okay. You're okay. You're okay, just like you are. You can't relate to any of this feeling. The gospel's only designed for my kind of healing. And you have your own morality, and that's just fine. You are the one slamming doors. But as for me, I would rather have mercy than morality. Because God knows I needed a real help.